Cyber Threat Brief for April 25, 2026. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, warns federal agencies that Cisco Firestarter backdoor survives patches and firmware updates, requiring hard resets by April 30. 4 new actively exploited vulnerabilities hit the KEV, Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog, including critical flaws in Simple Help and Zimbra. Black File Extortion, gang ramps up phishing attacks against retail and hospitality sectors with 7-figure ransom demands. Here's the full breakdown of today's top security stories. Daily Security Brief, April 25, 2026. Next section, Critical Alerts. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, adds 4 known exploited vulnerabilities to Catalog. CISA added 4 actively exploited vulnerabilities to its known exploited vulnerabilities. KEV, Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog on April 24, requiring federal agencies to remediate by May 8, 2026. CVE 2024-7399. CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, 8.8. EPSS, the Exploit Prediction Scoring System, 71st percentile, is a path traversal flaw in Samsung Magic Info 9 server previously exploited to deploy Mirai botnets. CVSS 9.9 and CVSS 7.2 are authorization and path traversal bugs in Simple Help exploited by Dragon Force ransomware as an initial access vector. CVSS 7.5 is a command injection flaw in end-of-life D-Link DIR 823X routers used to deliver the Tuxnikill Mirai variant, and 3 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Action: patch Simple Help immediately or disable external access. Replace D-Link DIR 823X devices as they are end-of-life with no patches available. Update Samsung Magic Info 9 server to the latest version. These vulnerabilities provide attackers with remote code execution and are being actively exploited in the wild. Sources: CIS of the Hacker News. Firestarter malware survives Cisco firewall updates and security patches. CIS and NCSC UK issued an urgent warning that the Firestarter backdoor persists on Cisco Firepower and secure firewall devices even after patching CVE 2025-20333, CVSS 9.9, EPSS 97th percentile, and CVE 2025-20362, CVSS 6.5, EPSS 98th percentile. The malware, linked to China Nexus UAT 4356, Storm 1849, was deployed on at least one federal agency's firewall in September 2025 and maintains access through firmware updates and reboots unless a hard power cycle occurs. Firestarter hooks into Lena, the core ASA process, modifies boot files, and reinstalls itself via signal handlers. The backdoor executes attacker-supplied shellcode delivered through specially crafted web VPN requests. Action: federal agencies must upload device core dumps to the Malware Next Gen portal by 11 to 59 p.m. EST April 24 and perform hard resets, power disconnect, by April 30, 2026. Cisco strongly recommends reimaging devices using fixed releases. To detect compromise, run show kernel process include Lena CS. Any output indicates infection. CISA has published 2 Yara rules for detection. This is not resolved by patching alone. Sources: Bleeping Computer, the Hacker News Security Week. Over 10,000 Zimbra servers vulnerable to ongoing cross-site scripting attacks. CVE 2025-48700. CISA flagged CVE 2025-48700, EPSS 95th percentile, as actively exploited and added it to the KEV catalog with a 3-day federal remediation deadline, April 23. The cross-site scripting vulnerability in Zimbra Collaboration Suite affects versions 8.8.15, 9, 0, 10, 0, and 10. 1. Exploitation requires no user interaction and triggers when a user views a malicious email in Zimbra Classic UI. Shadows of a reports over 10,500 unpatched Zimbra servers remain exposed online, concentrated in Asia, 3,794, and Europe, 3,793. Russian APT-28, Fancy Bear, exploited a similar XSS flaw, CVE 2025-66376, EPSS 93rd percentile, in Operation Ghost Mail targeting Ukrainian government entities. Action: update Zimbra to the latest patched version immediately. Seneca released patches in June 2025. If patching is delayed, consider disabling external webmail access or restricting access to trusted IPs only. This is a zero-click exploit requiring only that a user view an email. Source: Bleeping Computer. Next section, Ransomware and Extortion. New Blackfile extortion group linked to surge of phishing attacks. Blackfile, also tracked as CLCRI 1116, UNC 6671, Cordial Spider, has targeted retail and hospitality organizations with phishing and data theft campaigns since February 2026, demanding seven-figure ransoms. Attackers impersonate IT helpdesk staff via spoofed VoIP numbers, trick employees into entering credentials and one-time passcodes on fake login pages, then register their own devices to bypass MFA, multi-factor authentication. They escalate access to executive accounts by scraping internal directories, steal data from Salesforce and SharePoint using standard API functions, and publish stolen documents to their dark web leak site. Unit 42 links Blackfile with moderate confidence to the COM, a cybercrime network targeting young people for extortion and CSAM production. RH Chisak and CyberSteward report a significant increase in Blackfile incidents with TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures, similar to Shiny Hunters and SLSH. Action: strengthen call handling policies with mandatory MFA verification for callers. Conduct simulation-based social engineering training for frontline staff. Monitor Salesforce and SharePoint API usage for unusual data downloads authenticated via SSO. Review helpdesk authentication procedures to prevent spoofed VoIP caller ID from bypassing verification. Consider requiring callback verification before granting access. Source: Bleeping Computer. OCR announces settlements of 4 ransomware investigations, 427,000 plus affected. HHS Office for Civil Rights, OCR, announced $165 million in settlements with 4 healthcare entities following ransomware investigations that collectively affected over 427,000 individuals. Regional Women's Health Group, Maze Ransomware, 37,989 affected, paid $320,000 after failing to conduct risk analysis. Assured Imaging, PISA Ransomware, 244,813 affected, paid $375,000 for impermissible PHI disclosure and failure to notify affected individuals timely. Consociate Health, Business Associate, 136,539 affected, was compromised in July 2020 phishing attack leading to November 2021 ransomware. All entities agreed to 2-year corrective action plans monitored by OCR. This marks 19 completed ransomware investigations and 13 risk analysis initiative investigations by OCR. Action: healthcare entities must conduct accurate and thorough HIPAA security rule risk analysis to determine potential risks to ePHI confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Document risk analysis findings and implement security measures proportionate to identified risks. OCR prioritizes enforcement against organizations that fail this foundational requirement. Source: data breaches. Net. ADT confirms data breach after Shiny Hunters leak threat. ADT confirmed a data breach on April 20 after detecting unauthorized access to customer and prospective customer data. The company terminated the intrusion and notified affected individuals. Stolen data includes names, phone numbers, addresses, and in a small percentage of cases, dates of birth and last 4 digits of social security numbers or tax ID. No payment information or security systems were compromised. Shiny Hunters claims to have stolen 10 million records and threatens to leak data unless ransom is paid by April 27. The attackers told Bleeping Computer they breached ADT through a phishing attack, compromising an employee's Okta SSO account, then accessed Salesforce. Shiny Hunters has conducted widespread phishing campaigns since last year targeting Microsoft Entra, Okta, and Google SSO accounts. Action: organizations using Okta, Microsoft Entra, or Google Workspace SSO must implement phishing-resistant MFA, FIDO2/WebAuthn, to defend against phishing attacks. Train employees to recognize social engineering tactics and establish out-of-band verification procedures for access requests. Monitor SSO audit logs for unusual authentication patterns or new device registrations. Source: Bleeping Computer. Next section: business and infrastructure threats. Crime crew impersonates help desk, abuses Microsoft Teams to steal data. UNC 6692, Google Threat Intelligence Group identified a new threat group, UNC 6692, using custom Snow malware in data stealing attacks since late December 2025. Attackers spam organizations with overwhelming email volume, then contact targets via Microsoft Teams posing as help desk staff, offering a mailbox repair utility. Victims are directed to a fake health check page that harvests credentials using a double-entry psychological trick that auto-rejects the first 2 password attempts. The phishing page performs a fake integrity check while exfiltrating credentials to an Amazon S3 bucket and installing malware. The Snow malware ecosystem includes Snow Belt, JavaScript browser extension backdoor, Snow Glaze, Python-based WebSocket tunneler, and Snow Basin, Python bindshell listening on port 8000. Malicious traffic is disguised as legitimate encrypted web traffic via base64 encoded JSON over WebSockets to Heroku command and control infrastructure. Action: configure Microsoft Teams external access policies to restrict unsolicited contact. Block auto hotkey executables at email and web gateways. Monitor for unauthorized browser extensions, especially those named MS Heartbeat or System Heartbeat. Watch for outbound WebSocket connections to Heroku subdomains and internal HTTP servers listening on port 8000. Educate users that help desks will never send unsolicited Teams messages asking them to install software. Source: The Register. NASA employees duped in Chinese phishing scheme targeting U.S. Defense Software. The NASA Office of Inspector General revealed that Chinese National Songwu Aviation Industry Corporation of China engineer orchestrated a multi-year spear phishing campaign from January 2017 to December 2021 targeting U.S. professors, researchers, and engineers. Song impersonated U.S. colleagues and friends to obtain aerospace modeling software used for weapons development. Victims at NASA, Air Force, Navy, Army, FA, universities, and private firms shared sensitive defense technology without realizing they violated export control laws. Song faces wire fraud and 14 counts of aggravated identity theft, maximum 20 years per wire fraud count, plus 2-year consecutive sentence per identity theft count. The 40-year-old remains at large and has been added to the FBI Most Wanted list. The specialized software can be used for tactical missile development and weapons aerodynamic design. Action: verify sender identity through out-of-band communication before sharing technical information, especially defense-related software. Watch for red flags including multiple requests for the same software without justification, unusual payment methods, and unconventional transfer methods. Ensure employees understand export control requirements, ITR, and when software sharing requires approval. Source: The Hacker News. China-linked threat actors expand botnets to disguise cyberattacks. NCSC UK and allied agencies warn that China-linked actors increasingly route attacks through vast proxy networks of compromised consumer devices including routers, cameras, DVR, and NAS devices instead of rented infrastructure. Raptor Train botnet, linked to Flax Typhoon and Integrity Technology Group, infected over 260,000 devices in 2024. KV botnet, Volt Typhoon, targets end-of-life routers and was revived in November 2024 after FBI disruption in January 2024. These constantly shifting proxy networks undermine traditional IP blocking defenses and mask attack geographic origins. Targets include governments, telecom providers, defense contractors, and critical infrastructure. Action: strengthen edge security by replacing end-of-life SOHO routers and EOT devices that no longer receive security updates. Enforce MFA on all internet-facing devices. Maintain updated inventories of internet-facing assets. Adopt zero-trust controls and dynamic threat intelligence feeds rather than static IP block lists. Monitor for unusual traffic patterns from residential IP ranges. Source: Sentinel-1 blog. Next section: Windows/Active Directory security. Microsoft now lets admins uninstall Copilot on enterprise devices. Microsoft released the Remove Microsoft Copilot app policy, policy CSB and group policy, after April 2026 patch Tuesday. The policy allows IT administrators to uninstall Copilot from Windows 11 25H2 devices where Microsoft 365 Copilot and Microsoft Copilot are both installed. The user did not install the app, and the app was not launched in the last 28 days. Available for enterprise, professional, and education SKUs only via Intune or SCCM. Users can reinstall if they choose. Microsoft also stopped automatically installing Microsoft 365 Copilot app on Windows devices with Microsoft 365 desktop client apps, and is reportedly canceling Copilot features for Windows 11 system notifications, Settings app, and File Explorer. In February, Microsoft disclosed a Copilot bug that summarized confidential emails, bypassing DLP policies. Action: navigate to User Configuration, Administrative Templates, Windows AI, remove Microsoft Copilot app in Group Policy Editor to enable the policy. This addresses enterprise concerns about uncontrolled AI assistant deployment and data leakage risks. Source: Bleeping Computer. Microsoft to roll out Entra Passkeys on Windows in late April. Microsoft will roll out passkey support for phishing-resistant passwordless authentication to Microsoft Entra-protected resources from Windows devices starting late April, with general availability expected mid-June 2026. Users can create device-bound passkeys stored in Windows Hello container and authenticate using face, fingerprint, or PIN. The feature extends passwordless sign-in to unmanaged Windows devices, not Microsoft Entra-joined or registered, supporting corporate, personal, and shared devices. Passkeys are cryptographically bound to each device and never transmitted over the network, preventing credential theft during phishing or malware attacks. Admin controls available via conditional access and authentication methods policies. Action: enable Microsoft Entra ID with passkeys in authentication methods policy for users who sign into Windows devices. Review conditional access policies to allow passkey authentication from appropriate device types. This closes a security gap that previously left personal and shared devices reliant on password-based authentication vulnerable to recent SAS data theft attacks targeting Entra SSO accounts. Source: Bleeping Computer. Windows Update gets new controls to reduce forced restarts. Microsoft is rolling out improvements to Windows Insiders, Dev, and experimental channels, giving users more control over update installation. Changes include pause updates for up to 35 days using a flyout calendar interface with unlimited extensions, separate power menu options for restart and shut down that do not trigger updates, device type displayed in driver update titles, display, audio, battery, and consolidated monthly restarts that combine driver, net, and firmware updates with monthly cumulative updates. Updates download in background and wait for coordinated installation aligned with the next Windows quality update or user-initiated approval. Action: monitor for rollout to production. These changes address disruption from untimely updates and give users better control while keeping devices secure by design. IT admins should communicate changes to users when generally available. Source: Bleeping Computer. Next section, General Security News. New Pack 2, the root flaw gives hackers root Linux access. CVE 2026-41651, CVE 2026-41651. CVSS 8.8 is a 12-year-old vulnerability in Package Kit daemon allowing local Linux users to install or remove system packages and gain root permissions. The flaw affects Package Kit versions 1.0.2, November 2014, through 1.3.4. Deutsche Telekom Red Team discovered that commands like pkcon install could execute without authentication under certain conditions. Confirmed vulnerable distributions include Ubuntu Desktop 18, 4/24.04.4/26, 4 Ubuntu Server 22, 4/24, 4 Debian Trixie 13, 4 Rocky Linux Desktop 10, 1 and Fedora 43 Desktop/Server. Package Kit version 1.3.5 addresses the issue. Exploitation leads to Package Kit daemon crash observable in system logs. Action: upgrade to Package Kit version 1.3.5 immediately. Check installed version with dpkg lgrep I Package Kit or rpm cogrep I Package Kit. Verify daemon status with systemtool status Package Kit or pkmon. Any Linux distribution with Package Kit pre-installed and enabled out of the box should be considered vulnerable. Source: Bleeping Computer. UNC 3944, leader and digital mint ransomware negotiator, plead guilty. Tyler Robert Buchanan, 24, British national, UNC 3944/0 Scattered Spider leader, pleaded guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft for stealing at least $8 million in cryptocurrency through SMS phishing attacks from 2021 to 2023. Arrested in Spain 2024, extradited to U.S. Faces up to 22 years in prison at August sentencing. UNC 3944 linked to major breaches at MGM Resorts, Twilio, and Caesars Entertainment. Angelo Martino, former digital mint ransomware negotiator, pleaded guilty to helping Black Cat ransomware gang extort U.S. companies by sharing clients' confidential negotiation strategies and insurance policy limits. Martino also launched ransomware attacks with accomplices targeting law firms, school districts, medical facilities, and financial firms in 2023. One victim paid over $25 million. Authorities seized $10 million in Martino's assets. Faces up to 20 years in prison at July sentencing. Action: vet ransomware negotiators and incident response firms carefully. Martino's case demonstrates insider threat risk from compromise of the negotiation process itself. Limit information shared with third parties during incidents and verify their security posture. Source: Sentinel-1 blog. The NPM threat landscape. Shai-Hulud worm marks new era of supply chain attacks. Unit 42 reports that the Shai-Hulud worm, September 2025, marked the end of the nuisance era of NPM attacks and the beginning of high-consequence supply chain threats. The self-replicating malware, automated compromise and redistribution of malicious packages. Since then, attacks evolved with wormable propagation, stealing NPM tokens and GitHub PATs to automatically infect legitimate packages, infrastructure-level persistence, embedding into CI/CD pipelines, and multi-stage payloads, dormant dependencies activating under specific conditions. Recent campaigns include Shai-Hulud 2.0, Team PCP, April 2026, impersonating at Bitwarden/CLI, deploying across Docker Hub, GitHub Actions, and VS Code extensions, and the March 2026 Axios compromise. Attacks now prioritize long-term undetectable access to enterprise environments. Action: rotate NPM tokens and GitHub personal access tokens if any compromise is suspected. Purge malicious dependencies from local and cloud-based caches. Monitor for unusual package publishes from developer accounts. Implement dependency, lock files, and automated security scanning in CI/CD pipelines. Review NPM audit logs for unauthorized package updates. Source: Unit 42. 26 fake wallet apps found on Apple App Store targeting crypto seed phrases. Kaspersky discovered 26 malicious apps on Apple App Store impersonating popular cryptocurrency wallets: BitPay, Coinbase, Token, Ledger, MetaMask, Token Pocket, Trust Wallet, to steal recovery phrases and private keys since fall 2025. Apps redirect users to browser pages resembling the App Store and distribute Trojanized versions of legitimate wallets. Apps have intentional typos in names, e.g., Ledger New, or use placeholder icons claiming official apps are unavailable in the App Store due to regulatory reasons. Malware captures seed phrases via code hooks or phishing pages, instructing victims to enter mnemonics for verification. Some apps leverage enterprise provisioning profiles to install wallet apps. Campaign linked to native Chinese speakers, specifically targeting cryptocurrency assets, with similarities to Spark Kitty Trojan campaign. Action: only download cryptocurrency wallet apps from official sources verified through the wallet's official website. Never enter seed phrases or private keys into any app or website unless you independently verified its legitimacy. Apple has removed many of these apps, but users with Apple accounts set to China faced higher exposure. Source: The Hacker News. Researchers uncover pre-Stuxnet Fast16 malware targeting engineering software. Sentinel-1 discovered Fast16, a Lua-based malware created in 2005 that predates Stuxnet by at least 5 years. The malware targets high-precision calculation software to tamper with results, aiming to produce inaccurate calculations across an entire facility. Fast16 is the first known Windows malware to embed a Lua engine. The implant includes a kernel driver, Fast16. SIS, created July 2005, that intercepts and modifies executable code as it's read from disk. A Fast16 string was found in a DRV list. TXT file leaked by the shadow brokers in 2016 to 2017 as part of data allegedly stolen from the Equation Group, suspected NSA ties. The carrier module, SVCMGMT. EXE, can alter behavior based on command line arguments and includes propagation logic scanning for network servers to spread to Windows 2000/XP environments with weak credentials. Action: this is historical malware research with limited immediate operational impact, but demonstrates that advanced cyber sabotage frameworks predate publicly known campaigns by years. Organizations using legacy Windows systems and precision engineering software should maintain awareness of sophisticated tampering risks. Source: The Hacker News. Next section, Patch Priority. Cisco Firepower/ASA devices hard reset required by April 30 to remove Firestarter backdoor. Patching alone is insufficient. Ember Collaboration's suite update to latest version immediately. CVE 2025-48700 actively exploited. Zero-click XSS. Simple help patch CVE 2024-57726/CVE 2024-57728 or disable external access. Exploited in Dragon Force ransomware attacks. Package Kit Linux. Upgrade to version 1.3.5. 12-year-old root privilege escalation flaw. CVE 2026-41651. D-Link DIR 823X routers replace devices. End of life. CVE 2025-29635 actively exploited for Mirai botnet delivery. Next section, Vulnerability Disclosures. Microsoft Security Update Guide CVEs, low priority. Microsoft published multiple low-severity CVEs with minimal detail. CVE 2025-13763, Libopensk uninitialized variable, EPSS 5th percentile, KSMBD use after free, EPSS 2nd percentile. No description, EPSS 9th percentile. Net. MVP P2 flow control, EPSS 2nd percentile. UDP tunnel null deref, EPSS 2nd percentile. Net. USB. AC 111, EPSS 2nd percentile. Net. USB. CDCNCM, EPSS 2nd percentile. MTD. Ronand, EPSS 2nd percentile. Mako path traversal. EPSS 14th percentile. All have extremely low EPSS scores indicating minimal active exploitation risk, and 8 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Sources: MSRC CVE 2025-13763, MSRC, 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 and 17 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Next section, Trends and Context. Persistence mechanisms are evolving beyond traditional patch-and-forget security models. Firestarter demonstrates that sophisticated attackers now build malware resilient to firmware updates and security patches, requiring hard resets and reimaging. The convergence of vishing, blackfile, ADT/Shiny Hunters, UNC 6692, with SSO exploitation shows credential theft has shifted from phishing emails to phone calls and Microsoft Teams messages, bypassing technical controls through human manipulation. Supply chain attacks have industrialized with wormable propagation, Shihulad, NPM ecosystem that automates compromise at scale, turning trusted package registries into force multipliers for malware distribution. That concludes today's cyber threat brief. From Carolina, Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.